So, Josh, here we have Josh Holder, my love interest.
That's it? I'm a love interest?
Serial
That's how we're going to start this show? This is your first episode?
My sweetie. I'm just
okay. Cut.
Welcome to MCP Podcast. I am Marissa. I am your host, and it is all about the war from within. So every day we're facing battles, whether it's in health and fitness, business, personal, you name it. And so on this show, we are having Mr. Josh Holder, who is a serial entrepreneur. He owns multiple companies. He's known for mainly the #1 Google rated haunted house in the world. So we're going to get started with Josh today.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a weird life for sure. I own the Frightmare Compound, which is Colorado's oldest haunted house. My dad started it back in 1983. Dad had a wild idea to start a haunted house back in the 80s, and no one had ever heard of starting a haunted house or having a professional haunted house, at least in Colorado. So, when my dad kind of went to his friends, his wife, my mom, and said, "Hey, I want to walk people through my backyard and scare people," everybody thought he was freaking nuts. So in 1983, he literally started with this one little barn. He bought this old swampland and started this small haunted house and started walking people through. And it was really small the first year. And every year after that, it's just grown and grown to what it is today. And today, it's we're known around the world for some things that we've done, and we've kind of led the industry in a lot of ways. And we always come up with new, fun ways to scare people. So that's kind of everything that we do now kind of plays off of that too. We've got escape rooms, bars, and restaurants, and everything kind of has stemmed from scaring people. It's kind of crazy.
What was that like for you? Like, just living Halloween like that all year round? Because I know
that's all I know.
I know that, but can you share with us, like, really what that was like with when your dad was here? And we'll get into that about your dad no longer being here. But what was that like for you as a kid?
Growing up on the weird Frightmare property?
Yeah, were you ever kind of like, this is weird? What did it feel like?
Of course, I was the weird kid, which was awesome.
Yeah, but did you think
back
of
in the day, like we, like that? There's only four houses around ours. We have tons of property out there, and every one of our neighbors have big lots, and so there's only 4 houses around us. They're all our good friends who own these properties. But growing up, they all had kids my age, and so they'd come over to the haunted house, which was the coolest place ever to go play. So we'd play kick the can, hide and seek, you name it. It was just a cool place to grow up. We all had
best games,
dirt bikes. What was that?
The best games.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved those games.
Exactly. We all had dirt bikes and go-karts, and so it was really just a cool place to grow up. You always want what you don't have, right? So like we'd always joke about kids that lived in neighborhoods, like how cool it was, that they lived in a cul-de-sac and there was tons of kids that would go play. But secretly, that was the coolest place ever to grow up. And thank God I had other kids our age around there,
right?
That we all played together. But it was probably the coolest childhood I could imagine. Like looking back, it's wild just being able to grow up there. And it was some of the weirdest things too.
That's what I was gonna say.
Well, I mean, you can see the things that I order in the mail now.
Well, I know we get body parts, dead bodies.
So picture that growing
the
up.
FedEx
though.
guy came to the house. I'll let you tell that story. That was
which time?
The one with the dead body.
Yeah. Okay. So that story is pretty funny. I had one morning, this was probably like 3 years ago, I ordered this crazy prop from, I'm going to blank on the company's name right now, but it was a body that was hanging by its intestines, and it's a pneumatic prop, so it shakes and screams, and it's super realistic. And the stuff that I order now,
it's horrific.
It really has to impress me. I've seen everything out there. And so I ordered this custom piece from these guys, and they didn't put a top on the box. And so literally the UPS guy they go load their trucks, and at 4 a.m, this guy looks in this box, and there's a body hanging by its intestines inside this guy's truck. And so when he dropped off the package to the house, he told me, he's like, dude, this was the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. This is what I saw in the morning at 4 a.m, a body hanging. And so it was really funny, but that's literally been my life growing up.
Well, and the recent one with the guy that sleeps behind our bedroom, the Frankenstein guy.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That one.
Yeah,
He looks so real, and his mouth is like stapled closed, and his eyes are wide open. And the guy had to drop that off, and he was like, "Oh my god!"
I don't know why these guys package these the way they do.
I don't
think they
either.
do it for a joke. They like
probably
saran
do.
wrap them where you can still see the
do.
prop.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
That's
These guys
so
just mess with
scary.
people.
It's so
But
scary.
that's been
But
that's,
so back to
that's
your
been
childhood.
growing up.
Yeah.
Even when I was 10, 11, 12, we'd get bodies, we'd get caskets delivered to the house, like just weird stuff that, you know, what
Did anything ever scare you? Like, were you like, what? Why does my dad want to do this?
I can't think of anything that actually scared me, like anything that really stood out. And still to this day, it's very hard to scare me or
Yeah.
to even like weird me out on things because I'm so numb to the idea that
Sure.
it's fake anyway, right?
Right.
Like, so yeah, a lot of these things, and this will be your first year going to Trans World, which Trans
so
World
excited.
is the largest Halloween convention in the world. And I'm like a kid in a candy store. I've told you this 100
Yeah,
times. I show
I'm
up in the morning,
excited.
I might get a Coors Light at 9 a.m. and then you go find flamethrowers. I mean, you see the things I come home with.
I
Like,
know.
I'll come home with boxes of like last time I bought this flamethrower that probably stood as tall as these plants on a remote where you hit a button and it shoots 30-foot flames into the air. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like I need that.
You
I don't
are
know. This is
so
what I need in my
funny.
life.
I know. I love that. But was it ever like, did you ever, I don't know if you had the conversation with your dad, or did you ever just find it weird that you would want the Halloween, that he wanted to start that? Do you know what I mean? Because like some people, to the broader picture of people, they don't have a haunted house in their backyard. Most people don't.
What?
And I know.
That's how I grew up. I
know.
don't know anything different.
I know. But like, I think it'd be really great to share with the audience if you felt like how that, I don't know if you ever, what were your thoughts on that? Like, was it ever, why did my
I didn't
dad
know
wanna
anything
do
different. So that it was 100% normal for me, and I never knew anything different. You know, and Dad passed away when I was 13, so I never really got to ask those questions of the more in-depth questions of
Yeah.
why were you such a weirdo? And, you know, I
love
never
that.
really got to ask those
And I
questions.
don't even know if weird's the word, but it's just different.
probably
You know,
weird.
it was different. And like, I just think that's really great. So let's go on to your dad, because he's the one who laid the foundation for this. And I just think it's pretty incredible with where you've brought it today.
Yeah, it's wild. So Dad passed away when I was 13 from stomach cancer. And growing up, that was it. Every season, you know, you'd go September, October, it's just nonstop work, building scenes, getting ready for October, and all of his friends, family, everybody would come over and help. And in what was this? So this would have been in '98, right before the haunted house. He fell sick, and I wish I was a little bit older to remember these things better.
Right.
But when you're young, you don't really
Remember a lot.
think of why this is happening or whatnot. But he only lasted for a year. So he ended up dying in July of '99. And after that, my mom and family and friends, everybody stepped in to really run the haunted house and carry on the tradition that he'd been running for, how many years was that? Almost 15 years.
Yeah.
And so they stepped in and really kept running this place until I was old enough to take over. And so, yeah, it kind of came down to that ultimatum of, is this something you want to continue doing? Because the haunted house was never my mom's thing, you know? She
I know.
loved it, of course. Like,
yeah.
that was my dad's thing.
Yeah.
But Mom stepped in hard and, ran it. So it was really, really cool.
That's why War from Within is key to this podcast, because that is a battle that your family and you had to face, and how you overcame that to where you are today. Can you share more of that and what that did for you then and now where you are today? Losing your father at such a young age, him starting a dream and an entrepreneur at such a young age for himself. So,
Yep. And that's, that'd be a great question for my mom, really, to be able to hear from her how difficult that would have been, because I was 13 years old. So,
sure.
of course, I did everything I could, became the man of the family at 13. So I've got 3 sisters and my mom. So, I mean,
Sure.
there was definitely things that were put onto me, but it was also, everybody stepping in to help, all the friends, the family. That was the biggest part, and to this day, Dad died at 37, which is crazy.
That's so
And
young.
to this day, I've always lived that and thought that I was going to die young because of watching my dad die young.
Oh, sure.
And so it's always
see
been
Well, and that's a battle
go
in
time.
itself, because you have this, you thought this is how long life was, because that's how long you saw your dad, or that's the age of your dad when he passed.
Exactly.
So since we can't have your mom here and we do have you here, taking on that role at 18, 19, like to run it and learning all these things, that had to have been pretty challenging, I would imagine. I mean,
a lot of the challenges, looking back, I think one of the biggest challenges was having older people work for me at a young age.
sure.
And trying to be that guy that would have to tell people what to do when I'm so young and they'd be 30, 40, 50, whatever, and having to step into those shoes was kind of crazy, and you learn, I mean, you don't have a choice but to learn, but
Right.
to step into that role, and that's where you get thrown, and it's pass fail.
It's true. And I think what would be really great to share on that is how for these younger guys that come in and they're taking or they're starting their careers and they're entrepreneurs, they hire people that are older than them. How did you gain the respect of the older people in order to work for you like they do now? Because everybody that works for you truly respects you and you are a great leader. So could you share with us how to navigate that and how to still maintain the trust and gain the respect with them being older than you?
Yeah, and that's that's one of the things of there's no shortcut for hard work, and that's where you gain your respect, is making sure that you can outwork everybody around you. And you show that, you care more. Nobody's going to care as much as you ever when it's your own thing. So being able to, outwork everyone and care more than everyone, I'm there first and I leave last always.
Right.
And that's always what it's been. And I think that's what, if I would have came into that role different and been, like, oh, you guys do this, you guys do that.
Sure.
And not do it myself, I think I would have lost a lot of those guys. But coming in and, when there's a hole that needs to be dug or there's something, I also have that masculinity problem where I'm like, no, I'm going to win. And so, so I'll dig that hole faster than you guys would anyway, step aside. So yeah, that's definitely something that I've always had. And I don't know why, but even like to this day, now I have, JT and all these guys that are 18, 19, 20 that come out, and a lot of the work out there is hard work. It's not easy.
It is.
But I'll make sure that I show them that I'm tougher than them always. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll show you guys what to do. You guys continue. Even if it's like going back to digging a hole, if I have to go out and dig a hole, I'll do the first one and I'll do it in record time. Show these young punks how guys do it. And then I'll go behind the fence and like, okay, I'm dying. Never mind. I hope they can maintain that.
I love that.
So yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to your dad and the loss of him and how that is a very traumatic experience for the family. And, what were your thoughts of when you were taking that on? Was it like more of just what was that like for you to have to take care of the family or to continue on your dad's legacy? Like what pressure did you have on yourself and what was going through your mind at that?
Yeah, I think
during that time of your life,
on doing something like that is, I'm trying to think of like the actual feelings that I had. I've always had the mindset of bigger, badder, faster, harder, like trying to raise the bar always. And so, I still to this day make jokes about props that my dad's built, where I can go, I hope this is better, like challenge accepted. You built this 30 years ago. I'm going to build this now. We'll see whose is better. So I still compare myself to him in a lot of ways, which is fun. And I make it a fun thing, but it's definitely, something super cool to be able to carry on that legacy piece.
Sure. And with that, do you have that pressure still to this day? I mean, you do compete, like you're like, Dad, I'm going to do this better than you, or try
I'll
to.
be better.
Yeah. But for those that out there that lost a person that was very significant in their life and trying to move forward in a business that they started, I mean, that's real deep. That's hard. That's really hard.
It is, but it also gives you the opportunity, of pushing on some, like his legacy. Like in my case, that gives you the opportunity to. You could go either way. I mean, you also see the families that hand off things to younger generations and they run them into the dirt and things fail all the time. And we had those years too, after my dad passed, where we had times where we probably would have been better off selling the property, and closing down. But those were the real struggles of, all right, what are you going to do to continue this legacy, to continually grow this? Is it something you want to continually do? Because back in the day,
that's a great question.
There was years and years and years of no money, we were broke and we had to fire people and run things in,
and let go of family members. You had to let go of family. Well, you had to do it.
You can't afford some things, and that is really hard. And that goes back to working with family. It's a hard thing when you don't have the money to pay these guys to come out and put in the hours. So, you got to step up, and maybe you got to put in, if you were paying those guys 40 hours a week, okay, now I got to do 80 hours a week.
So you really had you had to grow up fast.
Oh yeah,
you did.
Of course.
And that's a very, anything traumatic in life puts you in a position to sink or swim. You can't wallow in the sorrow, but you found a way to push through. And with that, could you share with people about the family, working with family? So from how we are today.
Yeah, exactly. You know how it is. I've got 3 sisters and a mom, and
which they are all amazing, by the way.
Well, yeah, but there's also, I've got cousins out there.
Yeah, you have a whole family, and they all look to you, and you run it so well with family. You don't let the emotions get into the business side of it.
I just don't let them talk crap. No.
And you're really good at that. But can you share with people how to work with family or close friends? That's
do you do the hardest thing in the world.
And you do it so well.
Wow. Who knows who does it well? You just wing it every day. Everybody has drama and stress, and everybody comes from work normally. We have everything from school teachers to real estate agents to you name it. We have everybody that comes to the haunted house at 6 p.m. in September and October every night. And so people come with stresses and dramas and whatever it is. And it's one of those things where we try to let them know that this is supposed to be fun. This is going to be leave your baggage at the door. We need everybody to be on their A game, and just you kind of got to meet people where they are and know that okay, you had a rough day. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you, and really just appreciate people. I think is key too, and not being that guy that is a forceful leader, I guess. When people are there, family is there because I don't let them quit, for one. There's no quitting. These girls know that. So I think that's one of the things too, is meeting them where they are and letting them know that, if they need something, I'm here. And
you do that really well. I mean, you really do. And I think that you have a way of just getting people excited and keeping that momentum up. And so if there's a couple things you share that help you do that, in addition to what you just said, please share. Because I still think that it's hard to work with people in general. And for those of you that don't know, it's every day for 30 days you're with the same people. So there's not a break.
Yeah, exactly.
It's every single day. So that's really tough.
Yeah, and keeping people excited, like you were saying, is a hard thing. At the end of the month, as you know, everybody's drained. Right. Everybody, and that's the busiest time for us. Friday and Saturday night, you'll have a 3-hour wait out front, and we'll have food trucks, DJs going off,
Beer tents.
craziness,
Craziness.
yeah, exactly. While you'll be running anywhere from 60, 70 employees running around the property. It's intense. It's wild. And so, yeah, it's just keeping everybody excited, keeping everybody healthy, making sure everybody's drinking water, making sure everybody's trying to stay healthy. We always, this because it's always funny what's stupid, but everybody wears their Apple Watches.
I know.
And so we all compete on steps, where it's keep your blood moving, keep going. Because some of the nights out there, it's freezing too. So keeping everybody excited to keep moving. And we have competitions on who's moving the most, how many miles have you done today? And so it's important to keep that morale up too, and keeping everybody healthy.
So you were just talking about the steps with everyone, which is super cool. And on our podcast, it's War from Within with fitness and health too.
Exactly.
So what do you do to stay in such great shape?
Well, this is part of the podcast. This is what we're stoked about it.
Yes.
Because you know how difficult it is when we're working 18-hour days out there, the war from within to actually go to the gym, to actually get up and roll. It's freaking hard. And like on our Friday, Saturday nights when we're done at 2 a.m. and then we have to get up and go to the gym, like that's freaking brutal.
It is.
But, that's also helps us stay healthy. It helps us, going to the gym is one of those things it'll give us energy for that night, and how we don't feel good if we don't go to the gym or if we don't actually drink water and maintain ourselves. So that's always, and that's part of the bonus to this podcast and what we wanted to talk about, because we know that a bunch of other entrepreneurs that do the same thing, and they work 18-hour days, and actually getting your butt to the gym is difficult. So I think it's cool to actually hear other people that do that.
And you're one of them.
Of course, I have to be.
So I love
because
that.
You always make me get out of bed.
I know. And I love that about you though. So what with your health and fitness, what keeps you so consistent? Like what is it that keeps you so disciplined and consistent?
My trainer, shout out to Chad. Yeah, no, that's that's something that I've found that really helped me, was actually hiring a trainer, because
perfect. Yeah,
our home gym is great. We have a killer home gym, and we can go in there and work out anytime, and it gets boring real quick. And so having somewhere that you can go and have somebody push you and call you a pussy when you're being a pussy because you only had 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
It helps me a lot to be able to go, you're right, I'm tougher than you are. Let's go.
An accountability partner.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I can probably count on one hand or less of how many times I've actually called in because I didn't want to go, or I bet you I've only done it once or twice of like not wanting to go because I get that text back of, you're a pussy. Kid, get your butt to the gym. You're right. Okay. Yep, I'll be there in a minute.
I love that.
Yeah, accountability partner is huge.
So in your mind, that is what helps you from not going. Like that's what helps you stay consistent, is having that accountability person. So that is a real thing people need to understand.
100%.
Like
you go every morning with Katie.
I do.
Yeah, and so that's having somebody, like, as you know, when it's cold outside or when it's snowing, you're like, it'd be fun just to have coffee and sit by the fire right now.
Yep. It's very true. So I think that, and what do you do for things to help with your mind and in keeping you sharp for the day with work and business? Because you own other companies as well, aside from Frightmare. We can get into that another time. But what helps you keep on task?
I think something that helps a lot with keeping that drive going and not sitting scrolling on Instagram is podcasts, like listening to either podcasts or books on mental toughness. You sit there and you look at these other guys, and having people to look at and go, okay, you're right. This will push me further. Watching these other guys that work the same hours, that's being an entrepreneur is not easy. And it's never been and never will be. So seeing other people that do it and talk about it on podcasts and reading books about it, I mean, that really helps drive you every day and going, okay, and I got more.
I love that. So accountability partner, having podcasts to listen to, which is super helpful. And then do you take anything? Do you do anything? I know, but
of course, you set it all out for me in the morning.
I just wanted to make it about you.
Good one. Yeah. So on our counter, we have a ton of products, from creatine to
Fitness.
protein
Yep.
to the make product that we're taking now. Yeah, I think it's all very important to make sure that you're taking your vitamins and your products and making sure that your body is getting the nutrients that you need. That's huge. I mean, that's something that you can't move on without.
Right. And I think that I just love that you are in on this all around business, health, fitness, everything. And so I just want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit about yourself. I'm going to have him on more, guys, so we'll get into other
Whenever
things
she
too.
doesn't have somebody, I guess I'll fill the
He's going to
spot.
be the fill-in.
I'm always the fill-in. Why am I always that guy?
Because you're good at it.
That's funny.
I'm just kidding. You're the star of the show. But
Cool. Well, yeah, no, I think this is going to be great. I'm super excited too. I'm excited to see your lineup on who you've got coming on next.
he acts like he doesn't know.
I made the lineup.
He does a lot behind the scenes. But no, thank you so much, Josh. Thank you so much for being here. And now people have a little bit more of a personal connection to you, which is awesome.
All right. I love it.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.